What's up guys, Coop here, and today we're going to be doing a Demon Prince build. It's basically a Pyromancer mixed with a little bit of summoning. We're going to be doing the format a little bit differently today, and I hope you guys do enjoy that. Be sure to smash the like button if you do like this format. But what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be trying to show you guys the starting build, so this is the starting build. Then I'm going to be showing you guys the end of Act 1 build, and then the middle of Act 2. That way you guys can kind of see my progression, kind of see where we're going. I'm going to be using this as a lone wolf character, because that way we can kind of see the full power of what this build can be before it gets to the overpowered moment. So let's actually dive in, and we'll try out this new format. I hope you guys do enjoy it though. But first things first, we chose the Red Prince. Basically, it just really fit the theme. I liked it, and initially this was just going to be a pure pyromancy build, but I liked the whole converting with demons part. I felt that really worked well with adding summoning in the mix later on, so I did that. But we will not be picking summoning in the beginning, as you can see down here. But let's actually dive in and talk about the ratios. So Dragon Blaze. Dragon Blaze is this nice little cone effect that he can just shoot fire right in front of him. It's resisted by magical armor, but it does add the whole fire aspect that we are going to be abusing a lot. So what is important about this is it also scales with your Pyrokinetic sort of skill tree. And that's going to be great because this spell is actually going to become really powerful later on, and it allows us an alternative way of adding some fire surfaces on the ground. Now keep in mind, this does not always leave the fire surfaces on the ground. It just, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's still a helpful spell to have nonetheless, because it is only one action point, and that is beautiful. Next we have Demonic Stare. This is an alternative way for us to get some magical armor from our targets and give it to ourselves. What is cool about this is we are going to be standing in fire a lot, so we are going to need these sort of things to give us this magical armor to help us survive in our own fire. Next is Sophisticated. It is a 10% fire resistance and 10% poison resistance. What I did about this was I looked at it and I was like, okay, I need somebody who can actually take a little bit more than just our magical armor slowly getting depleted. So I looked at this and it's like, wow, 10% resistance to fire? That's really great. And then we could stack that with things later on to make it even better. Now, I do suggest this character as a main character because you do have a little bit more sort of conversations that you bump into having to use your persuasion skill. And he does have a +1 naturally to persuasion. Now the spells that I have chosen for this is pretty much the default. We have Searing Daggers. What I like about this is you kind of get the pinpoint where you want these 3 daggers to go. Fire-wise, you can hit some oil barrels, you could hit like your opponents, and then you could also hit like another guy that's next to you. It's just really nice because you get to pinpoint exactly where you want it, and that's very nice for what you need to do. You're going to find oil barrels and things all around the place. They have that little fire symbol. You just catch them on fire, they explode, and they hurt a lot of people, and that's wonderful. Next, I put Fossil Strike. The reason we chose Fossil Strike is 1, it applies a slow, and 2, it allows us to have a way to where we could pick where we want to fire surface. So you drop that on the ground, and then you use a fire spell, and then it'll catch on fire, and then boom, now you have a fireplace. Next is Ignition. The reason I chose Ignition is it's a quick way of adding a bunch of fire all over the place. Now, it does ignite the surfaces, so make sure you keep that in mind when you're doing it. It does not actually stay there, so when you cast it, make sure that there's actually surfaces around you that can catch on fire, or if you just need a quick little AoE that hits multiple people, so an area effect spell that just boom, everything's been hit. Now let's actually go into the actual preset here. So with my attributes, I put them in a variety of different manners here. I put Intelligence, Constitution, and Memory. Even if you're not a lone wolf character, you're still going to be going with this build. The reason that we're going to be doing that is we are boosting up our intelligence, boosting up our power of our spells. We've got Memory because we are going to be picking up summoning spells, so we have to kind of hold 2 different spell trees together, and we need to use all of our spell slots. So we're going to have, the 3 summoning spells, and then we're also going to have our Pyrokinetic spells. So that's very important that we kind of get a nice balance in between of that. Next, I put a point into Constitution 1 just because it gives us a lot of life, and in the early game we are going to be taking a lot of damage because we won't have as much magical damage, so our fire will actually hurt us a lot. But also because I want us to have a shield. We're actually going to be a character with a shield and wand. That's just the way it's better that way. So, highly suggest doing that. Next, we are putting a point into Pyrokinetic, just to increase our pyro damage here. and also Geomancer because it increases our physical armor restoration, and also it gives us more damage with our earth and poison spells, which are going to be, the poison and earth spells are basically going to be our like setting up spells. And then also the physical armor, we are actually going to be trying to pick up some physical armor along the way, and we need to use our geomancy spells to kind of give us like fortify and other abilities to help us out. Now civil abilities you can put wherever you want. So for the talent I chose is Lone Wolf. This is just because I like Lone Wolf. It's a better way of making your builds faster, and it's also a way of not using as many resurrection scrolls. It's not for everybody. If you do actually want to do the classic 4-party way, I would highly suggest picking up one of the following. You have Demon. That would decrease the amount of fire damage you take by 15% on top of the 10% that you have. So 25% less damage with fire resistance. That's pretty good. Next is Elemental Affinity. I would actually pick this if you're doing a 4-player group because you're going to be standing in fire a lot and your allies are going to be getting hurt a lot more. So it's important that you actually focus on that and that you use Elemental Affinity because it reduces everything by 1 when you're standing in a fire surfaces, which you pretty much are. Now keep in mind other spells like Ignition, they don't become free. They are just still 1, so it just lowers it by 1. So Searing Daggers would cost 1, however Ignition would not go down to 0, it'd be still at 1. But as time goes on, we're going to be picking up more talents, so I figured this would be a great way to start and show you guys a starting build. Now let's jump into Act 1. Alright, after completing most of Act 1, we've officially killed the bishop, and we are ready to pretty much go on to Act 2. Now, with Act 2, a lot of things have happened since we've last played. So, as you can see here, I have a variety of different spells I picked up along the way. Obviously, we've kept our Fossil Strike. I use Fossil Strike to as my opener to help me spread my fires, as the sort of oil surface is a great way to spread some fire. Now, another one that I picked up is an alternative way of also spreading an additional way of getting fire is Contamination. So it poisons all the water and blood surfaces and clouds into poison, and that also will be caught on fire if you use a fire spell. Now we've also got Ignition, just because it's a 1 action point sort of AoE based ability that can hit multiple different targets. We have our Searing Daggers. Fireball. Fireball's a really nice one to have because it does a crap ton of damage. As you can see here, Searing Daggers can only do a limited amount compared to Fireball, which does just 116 damage, which is crazy. Now keep in mind my points, we'll be looking at that in just a second, but overall it just shows you that it's a really powerful spell that will be happening every 4 turns. Now if you notice, I have a lot of spells here, and the reason I have a lot of spells here is because there's a lot of different cooldowns here. You got 3 turns, 3 turns, 2 turns. And the point of the matter is we're trying to get enough spells to where we don't have to worry so much about not having anything. Like when you first start in the beginning, you're going to notice you don't have a lot of moves that you can do. So it's important that you have so many spells that you never have to worry about anything, and you have one for all the different situations. Next I got Spontaneous Combustion. Basically this does a bunch of fire damage, and then on top of it, when affected by burning or necrofire, it removes these statuses and deals additional damage for each duration remaining. So if they're already caught on fire, after you've already destroyed their magical armor, you can start to use this ability. And next we have Dragon Blaze, which you already know about. Supernova, basically it's a alternative way of you explode, creating fire surfaces, and dealing a crap ton of damage in a large area around you. So this is another way of spreading fire. Actually, I should probably move that around to there. And there we go. So that works out really well. So that's another one of how to make some fire surfaces. Now, if you notice here, I picked up some different summoning abilities. Now, one of the things I did when I first jumped into Fort Joy was after I leveled up one time, I started putting points into summoning. So from that point on, I started just putting points in there. After about 5 levels, you get up to 10, which is when your summons get really powerful. Now, if you are not doing Lone Wolf, you're still going to be putting points into summoning until you get to level 10. Level 10 is such a high jumping point for what you need your summoning to be at in order for it to be any good. So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but if you do it, I swear it goes a long way. And then once you have that, you could specifically summon your pet within the fire, and he'll get access to a fireball ability, which was another way of you spreading fire damage. Now keep in mind, it does not scale with your Pyrokinetic though, but that's one of the things that we picked up. As soon as we went to Fort Joy and we leveled up one time, I went and I picked up the spells. I picked up Incarnate and Elemental Totem. And what I do is I spawn them within my fire, so I would put some fire on the ground. I summon my Incarnate within it. He has access to a fireball ability, and also keep in mind when you do summon a Incarnate, they get the sort of damage type based off of the surface that they're summoned in. So this guy, for example, has now magical damage. If he goes and attacks someone, such as this guy, he instead does magical damage rather than physical. So very important that you keep that in mind. Elemental Totems, once again, another way of choosing your damage. Choosing your damage is very important, especially because there are certain fights where somebody will just have a ridiculous amount of magical armor and have no physical armor. So you need to figure out different ways to sort of go around and attack that. And that's important based off of what character you partner up with you. Now, there's a variety of different combos you can do here. It's really kind of up to you. I partnered up with another mage-based character who's just wearing some heavy armor. His build's going to be changing over time now, but he's just got a bunch of magical spells so that we can both work together to destroy magical armor. And then from there, I got all these infusions just so that I could power up my Incarnate, giving him some magical and physical armor, and also giving him a spell. Specifically, one of the best spells that you can get is the Far Out Infusion, or the Farsight Infusion. Basically, this is a ability that gives you a really powerful range attack. So if I summon him real quick, I'll show you real quick what it does. Boop. So if you look here, it does a pretty good amount of damage. It's pretty nice ability just in general. So that's important to go on in the future. And then one of the things that I did pick up is Alexander's Cloak. It always drops off of him. It gives it strength and retribution, which isn't that good for what we're going for, but it does have that nice blinding radiance ability that is just really good. Now, one of the things that you're going to keep in mind is you're going to have to pick up your talents and choose them wisely over time. So one of the ones I picked up was all scaled up just so I could do an extra combat one. Because we're putting so many points into summoning, I also wanted to put some points into Pyro. So once I maxed out summoning up to 10, I started putting all my points into Pyro just to increase our fire damage even more. So we're all about that fire and all about that summoning. So summoning's down at 10, I'm going to try to get Pyro up to 10, and then from there we can start to individualize us. Maybe put a point or two into Geomancer. So that's why we chose all scaled up. Now keep in mind, all scaled up will be probably going away in the future, but I wanted to showcase that that's what I picked up in the beginning, and then I chose a civil ability because why not? Savage Sortilege, I got it at this point because now we've kind of already gotten our build really solidly done. One of the things is I've been just dumping all of my points pretty much into intelligence. I'm trying to get intelligence up to 40, which is a soft cap. We want to get it up to 40, and then from there we're going to be dumping everything into wits. We did put an additional 2 points into Constitution, but now that we've actually gotten a little bit more armored, we could start putting we could sort of switch that around and put all of our points into wits. So the reason that we're going to start pumping stuff into wits is so that we can get that crit chance, so our spells can actually crit. And with our crit, we can do 155% more damage, meaning a fireball could do up to 155, 158, maybe even a little bit higher of damage. And that's crazy. So that's going to be very important from there on. You're going to have to pick up Savage Sortilege eventually because it's a very powerful ability, and you want to pick that up pretty soon. Now, this is I would not suggest picking up Savage Sortilege like as the first talent. That's why I chose all scaled up, because you're really not going to be getting crit gear. You're going to be getting crit gear mainly later on, and it doesn't really make sense stacking up wits at the moment because you still need to get your intelligence high enough to make it worthwhile, and you're not going to have any crit gear. So, 20% crit is kind of good, but in general, not that really. So the next things that we're really going to be looking forward to is trying to pick out Far Out Man and Demon. Where's Demon? Demon. For that fire resistance, and then we're also going to be really looking for Hothead, which is right there. Basically, Hothead will be really nice because it gives us 10% crit and 10% accuracy. So that's what my sort of mindset is going forward and getting ready for Act 2, so that I'm prepared to jump into this experience and be ready for anything. We're doing massive amounts of deeps, we're doing a lot of fire damage, and that's very nice, especially going forward. Alright, now to show you guys the conclusion of the build. We are in Act 2, but technically I wanted to end the build here because we are a lone wolf character, and that is kind of a good stopping point because we get to a point where we start becoming overpowered at the stage. We are technically what would be a level 22 of this build, and that's pretty much towards the end of the game, so it felt like a really good stopping point here. As you can see here, we've acquired a bunch of gear over time. I did put some points into strength along the way, just so I could have a mixture of nice gear to give myself a nice amount of armor and a nice amount of magical armor. As you can see, I have a good amount of both. I think that's a little bit important, especially when doing a Pyromancer. You don't want to have it all in magical armor because you're not going to be... Well, you can prioritize your intelligence and everything, but you also are very susceptible to sort of physical armor. So I do it this way because it's a nice way of splitting it, and then on top of it we have the shield to provide us with even more cover and sort of power along the way. As you can see, we have maxed out our intelligence. We have it all the way up to 41. After that, we started putting all of our points into wits to give us a nice 20 to 23% crit. Now, I do have some gear that does allow me a little bit higher compared to other people, but now 1 of 4 of my attacks will basically crit. And that's very nice to have, indeed, there. And then on top of that, our crit multiplier is really nice, so a lot of our spells are going to be doing sometimes up to 500 damage. That's crazy. The next thing that we did is if we look at our combat, I put 12 into summoning, so summoning is at a very good, strong point at this rate. Not much of a worry there. Geomancy has not changed one bit. It's up to 2 still, and it still allows me to increase my poison and earth-based damage, and also my physical armor from skills and potions. So I have ways of getting my armor back and doing that. Now, the next thing I did put a point into was good old Pyromancy, because it's obviously the next thing I need to worry about. So I maxed that out as much as I could without having to worry too much, and I have 5 from my gear. So I acquired a lot of Pyrokinetic gear over time, and that's why I chose it. There are better pieces of gear out there that I probably could have used, but having that Pyrokinetic up another 5 is insane. That is another bunches of points right there. I think that's 25% more damage. So that's a lot better than having maybe a piece or 2 of gear. Next, we chose the talents Hothead, Savage Sortilege, and we have the Lone Wolf, obviously. Now, Savage Sortilege was great because we can now use our crit. We have Hothead because we have crit chance and more accuracy, so our stuff doesn't sort of miss all the time. Next, I got this wonderful, nice little spell, or not spell, I guess, talent here, from a spider in a quest line that is on my YouTube channel. Check that out. That's an extra way of getting talents. Basically, it -2 to my constitution, but it gave me +2 to my wits. I really didn't need it because I can already equip shields, and I have a good amount of constitution as it is. So, that was very important, especially going forward. I put some points into persuasion and lore master just so I could, identify different types of gear and whatnot, and sort of go from there. Now, as I said, there is different gear out here I could choose from, but I chose the Pyrokinetic over everything else. The only thing that is special gear-wise that I have is this piece here. Basically, it allowed me to get a lot of the stats I really like, and you can get this wonderful piece of gear. If I scroll over to my map here, it's in the graveyard, and it is in this specific region over, give me a second here, over here. So basically, you just use your spirit vision, and you're able to fight the guy right there. So that's a nice way of looking at that. Now, I chose this specific area to fight because I thought it was a really good area. We have Riker here, who is a level 12 trader. He has a lot of crazy cool source space abilities. We have all of his masked servants. We have a level 11 here. I think there is another level 11 somewhere. So we have one here. And then we also have a guy back here. So this is a tougher fight because I'm facing 4-on-1. My level is 11. These guys are at my level or above my level. So I figured this would be kind of the best way to demonstrate this build. Obviously, a lot of people are probably going to be wanting me to expand upon my builds. I've been actually thinking about maybe making it to where there's in-game builds. But anyway, let us actually dive in and do this. So one of the things I noticed is that these guys are undead. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my Contamination spell. Next, I'm going to be choosing good old Laser Ray. Laser Ray is a great ability because it has such long range. So I have Fossil Strike to make myself some fire, Laser Ray that can extend my fire at far ranges. We have Ignition to give me another way of making sort of fire-based surfaces. Dragon Blaze, which is our racial ability, which has scaled oh so far since Fort Joy. Then we have Searing Daggers, not as powerful as a spell, but it has precision to where you can pinpoint exactly where you want it. Fireball, which is just a classic fire spell. And my favorite, Supernova, which does a massive amount of damage in a small area. Now, this does, on occasion, actually hurt you based on the fire surfaces you spawn, so keep that in mind. And Spontaneous Combustion, which is great. Basically, what you do is you use it, and it also takes away the burning effect that is on them. Now, you might be saying, why is that a good thing? Well, this actually scales with damage based on how much of a burning duration they have. So, another great thing to have here. And then I have my good old Incarnate Spells here. I have Conjure Incarnate, Elemental Totem, both infusions now because we're at the point now where I need him to have all the different types of armor. We have our Demonic Stare here where we can get some of our magical armor. We have shields up to get more magical armor. And then I have Bone Cage from my good old chest piece here from that boss I showed you guys. So, what exactly should I go from here? I'm probably going to get rid of my Blessing ability, especially going into a fight like this. I want to make sure I'm all good. I can make it to where I regen physical armor because we do have some physical based enemies around us, so this will make it for a really good fight. Now, the fact that I have an opening move is very important, so what I can do here is I can actually put myself right here and prepare myself to do Supernova. Supernova is one of my highest damaging abilities, and it's great because Riker has 500 armor and this guy has 67 armor. So we see the magical armor. I know I'm in the clear. I'm going to do it. So we'll wait for them to enter combat real quick. There we go. We have entered a combat. He's going to have the first move because he is a archer with a lot of wits. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on him. He is my main target right now, as he does a lot of damage. Next, I'm going to summon my good old Incarnate here. And I will probably just burn this guy. See, here he's burning a crap ton. Next, I'm going to do a Fireball ability. Now, it's important when you put these Fireball abilities down that you focus on hitting both targets. So as you can see here, I managed to find a spot where I can hit both targets. And I'll do it. And next I hit good old Riker. Now keep in mind, Riker is an important important character overall. It's important that you do not kill him. I'm just doing it for the demonstration of this video because he is a very good person to put on here. He's not just like a knight. He's not going to just fall flat. Tactical Retreat. Glitter Dust. I've been marked. So I have less dodging, so I cannot dodge his base abilities. Still going to hit Riker, as he is our main target. He's doing Contamination to heal and also hurt himself. Or heal him and then hurt us. Next I'm going to focus on Laser Ray. See, at this long range, I'm able to hit Riker from afar.
This won't be the first double cross.
And boom, Riker is down. And so did his summons. Now, keep in mind, Riker is not a person that you want to normally kill, but he does have not a lot of nice loot. Like, look at that Door of Eternity, all these unidentified rings, an unidentified dagger. A lot of cool loot, but in general, you usually don't want to kill him until you finish a little bit more of your questing. But I just wanted to show you guys the Pyromancy build. As you can see here, I had answers to all of my questions here. I had more answers than not. So I figured that this would be a great way to show the build. I appreciate you guys waiting a long time. I know it took a long time for me to finish up this build. But I wanted to get this build right. I wanted to get a lot of cool flavor into it. And I wanted to make it to where it's very overpowered almost. To the point where I could just annihilate anything. So I hope you guys do enjoy it. Be sure to smash that like button and also to subscribe. I know a lot of you guys do watch these videos, and I'm trying to get myself up to 1,000 subscribers, especially with the new ad policy change that is going to be affecting my YouTube channel a crap ton, and I need to make sure that I'm actually able to sort of reach that monetization mark to allow myself to be able to afford more games and able to buy better equipment to make this experience overall better for you guys. If you guys like my personality, I appreciate all your support, and hopefully we can build this channel a little bit better every step of the way. Anyways, this is my Demon Prince build, and I love it. It's so good. It just the amount of joy I get out of it. Just spreading so much fire, spreading all these abilities, having all the different answers, having a minion to help me out and sort of strategically put him around. It also just fits really well with the Demon Prince lore because he worked with demons and now he summons demons and now he uses a lot of the fire aspects of a dragon. It's such a good build, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.